Welcome to Video Game Bullshit.
I'm Jeffrey Wittenhagen. I run HagensAlley.wordpress.com. I'm also the Subcon 3 on forums like Nintendo Age and Clubs. I'm a double award-winning published author for Hidden Treasures, a book that's on sale at Lulu.com. It's also on the right side of the page that you're probably listening to the podcast on right now. You can help support us. Instead of like every other podcast where they want you to give money to keep their podcast going, all you got to do is support us by actually buying a gaming book, and a little bit of that money will go towards the podcast. And I've also written towards a few different gaming publications such as Nintendo Force, Pixel Nation, and Retro Gaming Times Monthly. And we've got Kyle.
Hey, I'm big into no death runs, high score runs, collector of all things vintage and retro, pretty much anything video game related. I also collect figures, vinyl, VHS, tap handles, old beer signs, and old beer steins. And we've got Kevin.
Greetings, gamers. Kevin here, aka KWK. You can see my site on kwkbox.com and also visit my channel, KWKBox, on YouTube at any time for support. We do lots of Let's Plays and have videos of all of us in different forms, so if you want to add a voice to a face, my channel is the place to be.
Please call our number, leave a voicemail or a text message at 262-264-VGBS.
Sweet. So we got our homework game for the week. Bionic Commando for the NES.
Oh shit, we actually had homework.
Yes, it's
Did
back.
Kyle study for his homework tonight? That's the question.
That's right, I did. I studied real hard, teacher. I studied real hard.
That's right. Hell yeah. Yeah, I know we decided like a few weeks ago to play Biocom and Bionic Commando, and I went that weekend and played it and beat it, and then I know Kyle was busy as shit that weekend, and I know you got to it finally, though, which was great. So we actually were planning on talking about it last weekend, but we're like, we're not going to rush it. We're doing this shit at our leisure for fun, so it's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to be able to have like enough substance to where we can talk about it at length for all you guys out there, you know, because that's what you guys deserve.
Yeah, it's actually my trick. I make sure Kyle gets obsessed with the game, and then we're good.
It's all over now.
it's all over now.
Yeah, it's all over now.
It's my trick.
Yes. Lad Spencer in the house.
Yep.
Yeah. He's such a badass character, though. And it's like Strider. It's just something that I would create.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could give a little like background on the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put up a little bit of wallpaper for all the listeners. We're not going to try to insult anyone's intelligence, but just in case we get some new listeners or someone who's not familiar with the game, what we'll do from now on is like paint a better picture of what the game is, and then we'll go into our story. Because most of the time we go into our story and it's like we already assume people have a base knowledge, but they might not. So Bionic Commando, NES, original NES 8-bit game, developed and published by Capcom. And basically it was released in 1988, so it was an earlier release for Nintendo. It actually used the original box for Bionic Commando used the old seal of approval. There's 2 seals of approval for Nintendo. There's the classic gold one everyone sees, but the actual original one was black. And had gold Nintendo lettering instead of the gold with the white in the middle. So that's a pretty cool little tidbit that the older games generally used that black seal. Now, not all did, because I think they kind of alternated a little bit. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like all of them that you'll see that are generally older and a lot of third party have that gold and black seal. So Bionic Commando, though, is an action platformer. Now, what separates Biocom from the rest of the bunch is you cannot fucking jump in the game.
Gasp, facepalm.
Yeah, it's like, so basically, what you need to do in Bionic Commando is you need to play this game like it's your only rental for the fucking weekend. You have to rewire your brain to learn a different way to play a game. This is what I call a Rob Bryant style game, a Sly Dog Studio style game. If you play fucking Mad Wizard, what's the main thing in Mad Wizard? It's a platformer where you can't jump. Surprise, surprise. You know what I mean? Like,
Ding, ding, ding.
There's some parallels from Mad Wizard to the control style of Bionic Commando. The layouts of the games are completely different. They couldn't be further from the same. But the little aspect of having to relearn something in Bionic Commando is definitely a cool thing to do, because it thinks outside the box and it's not just another cookie cutter platformer. So the major way is so you can't jump, right? So how do you get to other platforms? You use this mechanical arm, Bionic Commando. So you have a bionic arm. And what you do is you latch onto platforms from underneath, and you can pull yourself up. Or when you're running and jumping, you can latch and propel yourself and swing like Indiana Jones.
So fun, so fun.
And there's like so many little advanced techniques you can do. You can stun enemies with it, but you also have a gun, which can be upgraded later.
It's huge.
Yeah. It's like awesome.
Yeah.
There's items you can equip that'll help either give you health later or damage enemies from above. And there's a whole communicator system, because throughout each level you have to go to a level and use a communicator to talk with your forces or wiretap the enemy forces to figure out intel. And what it does is it allows you to not only progress in some levels where like you'll talk to your buddies and they'll unlock a door, but also like getting the intel will be like, all right, so Super Joe is over in the waste area right now in the junkyard, and then in a different level they'll be like, oh, the junkyard is number 8. Yeah. So then you'll know, oh, the junkyard's number 8 and Super Joe's over there. You go over there and you find out, oh, Super Joe's been moved to 13 or something. But you find out the story through the communication level. So that's a really cool way to do it without like forcing it on you, making you watch it, because you can completely skip most of that shit, which is awesome.
Which we realized later on. Yeah. After playing it through the first time. But that's what's important about playing it through the first time.
Yeah.
Kind of like with virgin eyes. Because
Yep.
you go to every single area because you're trying to put all these puzzle pieces together because you don't know anything yet.
Exactly. So I'll just jump into a little bit of the story, and then I'll let Kyle take over with his insanity. So basically, the plot of Bionic Commando, and by the way, I just have to put this out here, I played a hack of the game that re-put all the Nazis in the game.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's all it did.
Good call on that, though.
It put all the Nazis back in, because the original version of this game, the Famicom version, is called Hitler's Revival Top Secret. The arcade game for Bionic Commando is called Top Secret. This is actually the sequel to it, called Hitler's Revival Top Secret. And you are controlling Lad Spencer from the FF Battalion.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's called. And basically, you're fighting the Nazis, and Generalissimo Kilt. And basically what they're trying to do is revive Hitler.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do.
Yep.
Cryo
Chamber world, man.
In the NES version, he's called Master D.
Yeah,
But
Master Chief.
and then the irony is that somehow this is the classic game that got past Nintendo censors because at the end, if you beat the game, it still shows Hitler's head and explodes
Yeah.
into a bloody, gory mess.
Scanner style.
Fucking amazing, dude. But yeah, so, and you're going to rescue Super Joe. Super Joe was not only in the original Bionic Commando, but he's also the main character from another Capcom title called Commando.
That's right.
And one thing that, Bionic Commando has is when you're progressing on the map, there's these little convoys that are driving around. And if you run into them, you actually go into a Commando-style top-down level. And I know Kyle's going to jump into some awesome, tidbits in there, too. So, yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Take her away, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you lay like the best groundwork.
I tell you, man. I tell you.
I tell you, man.
I tell you.
So yeah, it all started when I was a kid, though, when I actually rented this game for the first time, and I was used to the linear stuff, like Mario Brothers 1, but I wanted to break away from that, and I just thought it was interesting if you could do whatever you wanted. For a while, I was in a phase there where I didn't even care what I was doing in the game. I just wanted to, do something and go wherever I wanted, like Simon's Quest, Zelda 2, Battle of Olympus, Bionic Commando, just kind of non-linear, but I never could, piece together because I was too young to, figure out what I was supposed to be doing. But on that side, too, I never really cared either. Not like I opened up the instruction book and, scoured through it or anything. So it was just kind of fun as a kid to control, an avatar on a screen.
All I have to say, Kyle, is if you used the instruction manual back in the day, you were a square.
Yeah, most of us just threw that shit away, and it was like, we'll figure it out. Figure it out. And
I
we
actually, a really cool story with mine is I put them all in a baggie. So I took all my instruction books when I was a kid, and I put them in a little, sandwich baggie, and I still have them, and they're all mint because of that.
Beautiful.
But yeah, mine were all in a little baggie, including all my little drawings as a kid. So I got an Ultra Mario drawing, and my Punch-Out records were in there, and pretty awesome shit.
Yeah, that's the best when you look and you find that it's all been preserved. It's almost like being an anthropologist or something.
A little fossilized Nintendo manuals.
It's what did we come across here?
What is that?
What could it be? So yeah, and then the levels, as Jeff was saying, there's a map in the very beginning with numbers, and the numbers don't go in numerical order or anything. So in Mario, it's okay, it tells you which way you gotta go. And that's how this game was kind of made for older kids, I think, too. More of a maybe in the teenage zone. It's kind of like how they had Lego and then they had Technic. It's kind of like a Technic game to me, a little more advanced, where if you're a kid, you should probably be playing something Mario 3 or something, where you go to the right, you end the level, and then you go to the next level, and it's this is what we do,
Yeah.
Yeah, this game introduced a little more complication and crypticness, and you had to go to these levels and communicate with these people and find out things about the levels, and that's where, as a kid, I could just never get it, because I wasn't to that point yet, and again, I didn't really care to get it, because I was just happy to be playing the NES, and the whole grappling thing really pulled me in, and his character is just so badass to me, and that's one thing. Something needs to be super badass to me, personally, for me to get into it. If it's not, or there's not something cool that strikes a spark, it's just that's okay. But
yeah,
to me, Bionic Commando is just super badass, and it's this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you know what the irony is that I was the exact same way when I was growing up too, same shit, where there was just something that I just didn't get it. And now it was when I picked it up and played it, to me this was almost linear. And I think it might have to do with me having a military background now, because I basically saw the numbers as zones and areas, like just from like a military standpoint. Like, all right, so I was like, all right, so these ones are safe zones, these ones are action zones. So I went from action to safe to action to safe to action to safe, basically like linear. And all the way to when I got all the way near the end, I didn't even hit a bump. Like it all just made sense in my brain. Like it was like written for somebody with a military mindset. And I mean, you are in like a military like aspect in this game. Like, you know what I mean? This game does have a military aspect.
It kind of fits the glove.
Yeah, so I'm like, it kind of like makes sense why it would almost click with me now.
Yeah, when you said that when we were chatting the other day, I kind of thought about that. It was like, it's kind of like perfect.
We were almost like going back and forth, like if it's linear or not linear, because I'm like, no, dude, you just go red, white, red, white, red, white. It's completely linear. And I was like, dude, it's like red. Fight boss. Go to white zone. Get new item. Go to red. Fight boss. Get white zone. Get item. I was like, dude, rinse, repeat. It's not non-linear. And you're like, but it is non-linear. And it is non-linear because you can go to any level in any order.
It's the way that you see it. And there's a path you can follow on the road, and it's like,
yeah,
it kind of shows you where to go in a way.
Within a lot of levels, they're also non-linear too. It's not just like left to right.
You're just wandering around.
Over.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it.
Maze levels too. It's pretty awesome actually.
And that's that freedom that I like just loved, and that's what stuck with me. That was like what resonated with me in that game. So when we decided to play it again, I was like, yeah, like I only have good feelings because it didn't restrict you from anything.
Yeah,
and as a kid, that was fascinating to me because Mario, you go to the end of the level. I'd beaten that game like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, that's cool, but I want something that kind of introduces something different to me or like blows my mind. So I found that with Bionic Commando as a kid. Then the whole thing was, as a kid, you start at Area 1, and then there's Area 2, but it's not by Area 1. There's like different ones between Area 2, so it's not like a linear thing like you go 1, 2, 3. So as a kid, I went to Area 2 and because I figured, being so trained in that linear fashion, it was like, and then I realized, I'm not getting anywhere, so you almost have to just go everywhere as a kid. But when you're older, like Jeff said, and especially, I guess, with that military mindset, that you just kind of have a hunch and know, like, this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, this is how it's set up.
And I don't even think I rented the game back in the day. I think I only played it, like, later on emulators or something. But, like, back then, like, even when I played it, years back, I probably still didn't even read it either because I was just playing another game. I wasn't, like, now we're playing it for substance.
Right.
Like, we're playing it for a purpose. So I'm going to sit there. I'm going to get the entire story. I'm going to watch the intros. I'm going to read every line of text just to see what the story's about so I can get fully immersed in the experience.
And that's what's cool, and that's what I would recommend. And do all the communication, all the wiretaps, go in every door that you can. And it's like upper echelons for me. Like, hardcore. Like, I would probably get a tattoo, like, of him swinging.
On his penis?
On my fucking penis.
Get the bionic arm down his shaft.
Yep. He's grasping onto a Jacob's ladder, which is...
Holy shit. We get to penis talk on VGBS tonight.
Oh, shit.
Excellent.
It's Prince Albert time.
Prince Albert. The wrestler?
Oh! So, game comparisons. It should be really fun.
Oh, yeah. I already mentioned Mad Wizard, and that's so loose that that's terrible. It's not really a comparison. No, there's a lot that utilize the actual whip grapple type arm movement, and that's where Kyle dug up a cool article on it.
Yeah, it's like bionic arm sightings.
Sightings.
Yeah, it's even like Castlevania 4, just like the Indiana Jones, the pitfall thing, like Jeff was saying, it's like you swing like Indiana Jones, which is so fun, and you can swing and then you grapple and you hit the platform right below you, so you do like a double combo. That's what's cool. You can do combos. I watched a speed run by this crazy Fiesel guy is amazing, like ridiculous.
Diesel.
He was doing like triple, quadruple combos, and he barely ever touched the ground. And that shows you like the mastery that you can get to in this game. And that's a Capcom thing. Like DuckTales is the same way. You can get like ultra sick.
You know what's funny is like Konami did have, like, speaking of like, you know, sightings, Konami did try to replicate the Bionic Commando formula. And that was the Famicom disc exclusive, never came to the States. It's called Miracle of Almana. And that game is fucking trash. Like it's like Indiana Jones style, and you have this little it's not a bionic arm, it's a little grappling hook, and you gotta connect it, and then you gotta like scale it to go up platforming, but it's so awkward and so poorly done, and the hit detection is so far off that like I got the game as a reproduction back before like I knew any better, and like I got rid of it because it was so bad. like I got a CIB with a map and everything. It's like Indiana Jones on the fucking cover, and a guy was doing a limited release. I'm like, dude, that fucking game's Konami and it's a platformer. It looks cool as shit. Mm-hmm. And then it's broken. It's like, oh my God. The game wasn't fun. And seriously, it seems like, you know, how you have a little bit of like when McDonald's does something, Burger King tries to copy. I think Capcom did it right, and now Konami was trying to copy. Now, I could look it up online and see if, like, what year Miracle of Almana came out. Miracle of Almana. But, yeah, it's, like, funny, though, that, like, they tried to copy off the formula and failed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one game that does do it justice, and people who want to jump, Rockin' Cats.
Yeah. So I'm wrong.
What's up? What's wrong?
So I said, so I'm wrong. Miracle of Almana came out in August of '87, and Bionic Commando came out in July of '88.
'88, yeah.
In Japan. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like now the thing is that the question is like they still could have copied off of Capcom because you still have the whole there's Bionic Commando the arcade game, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's where it all started.
So that's the thing is that like the original arcade could have came out way before that because the original arcade game was released in '87.
Yeah. And
they could have released that original arcade game. Konami sees it and fucking replicates it on NES.
And then you have that. Like Konami's huge with like the arcades, anything like that. They even do like casino machines and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when me and Judy went to slots, like it was like Konami everywhere you looked. Made me smile a little bit inside.
Konami World, right?
Yeah, even though they've gone to the dark side of the force since then, but
well, they got their company, right? They got to make money.
That's what they're gonna do too, and they're gonna do it well.
Yeah. Well, I sent out that Hardcore Gaming 101, little shout out to them, Hardcore Gaming 101 article, and basically there was the arcade game, then there was the NES game, there was a couple of Game Boy ones, there's original Game Boy and a Game Boy Color one where you could actually be a female, and then it kind of died out until they did Rearmed. Rearmed was a reimagining of the NES one. And then that was to lead up to the 3D remake, and the 3D remake was garbage. And then they did Rearmed 2, where he had an awesome 80s porn stash. And that one actually allowed you to do a hop, believe it or not, a jump. But yeah, that was the entire lineage of Bionic Commando. They haven't done one since that. I think it was like probably late 2000s, probably 2009-ish. Is when they did the Rearmed 2. And that was just a digital release only. Just like the first Rearmed was a digital release.
Yeah, and like when I was watching the Feasel speedrun, he was like, yeah, Rearmed is really cool. I totally recommend it. And I was like...
Nice.
I was just thinking, though, like, he just doesn't look the same. It just doesn't do it for me now.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to our conversation from a few episodes ago when we were like it's kind of like the art style. There's there's something lost when they transfer the bit graphics to, you know, actual drawn artwork. There's something lost in there.
Plus, they like made his arm completely bionic, where he just had like a little like device in the original, like Predator, or Boba Fett, or something.
Yeah, it's like the almost like an imagination factor too.
Yeah, I'm a big Boba Fett and Predator fan, so that's the thing. Like, I just love things with like gadgets, like Batman too. Anything that's got gadgets and cool little things, it's always intrigued me.
You were a huge fan of Inspector Gadget back in the day?
Yeah, I preferred TMNT, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad of a show, though. Michelangelo, man. And Raphael is the dark one, so that's cool. And Leo's got the fucking katanas. You know, they were all fucking cool. That's what I love about TMNT. Every one of those characters was something that I completely loved.
Now in the cartoon though, Raphael was the jokester, and then the movie he was an asshole.
He was like a Brooklyn, New York comedian almost.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was.
Yeah.
And then like later on, like in the movie, he's just like pissed off, and he actually says, "Damn."
And what most people don't know is Raphael, his red mask they all had red masks in the comic book.
Yep. And what's the other thing about the comic book?
That was crazy, brutal, and
issue 1, they murdered Shredder in cold blood.
yeah, and Shredder rapes a girl, dude.
And Shredder rapes a girl.
I was like,
in
holy
issue 1.
shit, dude.
You know what I see with that, guys? I'm like, you know what I see with that, guys? I see a cartoon. Like, what?
We're gonna bank on it.
Let's market these rapings and murders.
Yes, that came out of nowhere too. Like, wow, you just decided this is gonna work, and it did. And it did.
Yeah, you just cut out of the brutality, and they market it to kids. It's perfect, man.
I think it was either I'm trying to think of which country. They were hero turtles because it was too scandalous.
Europe.
We're heroes here. We're not ninjas.
Yes, because ninjas were too brutal.
It's too violent. Yeah. But yeah, back to Biocom here. Hell yeah. So yeah, the game comparison.
Flowing around. And game comparisons. Back to that one, too.
The item equip screen.
Oh, yeah.
I totally thought like Blaster Master.
Yep.
Didn't you think of that? Because
yeah, absolutely.
like the sound effect when you choose the item, it's like the Blaster Master sound, and the item even looks like when you kill the boss and they give you like the weapon. It's like it looks just like the little like rocket launcher or whatever.
When you get the Vulcan or whatever you get in Blaster Master.
I was like, oh, that's funny. I wonder if a guy left from here and went to Sunsoft. That was my first thought.
Yeah, I mean that could have been.
You know. That's why I love taking notes, because those little thoughts that like go by real quick. It's cool to catch those sometimes. Put them in a bottle for later. Link to the
Put them in a bottle for later.
That's great.
Hilarious.
The music, fucking Mega Man, like, it's got to be the same guy, right?
You know what's funny though is Blaster Master was released like a month before Bionic Commando in Japan.
Weird. So maybe he went from Sunsoft to Capcom.
Well, I'm about to like compare them side by side online and see if like any of the names are the same. Might as well, right?
Yes, analyst. Fuck yeah, dude. That's the way we do it.
Because the other side is that you got like designers and things like that too, and you know what I mean. Like one of the names could match up. You see a lot of Japanese names and. You never know. The other thing is, too, is that none of the names do match up for Blaster Master Bionic Commando, but you also have, like, people probably trained or learned under each other, like tutelage and things like that.
Yes.
So, I mean, there could be that aspect, and you're not going to see that on Wikipedia. That's where Wikipedia fails, is it doesn't get that deep. Like, there's a limitation to what you can learn online when you don't know the true history of things.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to think, like, a lot of these guys probably took programming together or learned at the same, I don't know, academy or however they did it back in the day. Like, I don't think everybody just did the Color Dreams way and learned how to program in a fucking garage.
Like, for real, though? Oh, my God.
Action 52 way was in a garbage can.
Yeah, fire that fucking teacher. Jesus.
At least Color Dreams, some of the games were almost playable. Fucking Action 52, God.
Oh.
Wisdom Tree was just reskinned Color Dreams games with Jesus in them.
God World, yeah.
Throw Jesus on it and call it a day.
It'll sell.
It's Bible buffet. It says nothing with the Bible. It's just fucking food.
There was a store called There's a store called Count Your Blessings. It was on Ridge Road. And my ma used to go there. She's always been a church lady.
She's the church lady.
I always saw through that stuff from a young age, but But they had them, dude. They had them in droves. I remember seeing them being like, shit, this is retarded.
There was like another church store over by like where my parents were going to too, and they had Wisdom Tree games. I remember seeing like freaking Bible Adventures.
Yeah, like what are you gonna get, Biocom or fucking
Bible buffet all day, baby.
King of Kings, yeah.
King of Oh yes, you gotta get that one. There's one Wisdom Tree game that I like.
Yes, Joshua. Wait, no, it's not Joshua.
Spiritual Warfare.
Spiritual Warfare. It's like Zelda, dude. Yeah.
Yep. I have it actually new in box. I have a sealed copy.
It's sealed. You got it from Camp Out, right?
Yeah, I got it last year from Nintendo Age Campout, and like I got 2 games sealed. It was Legacy of the Wizard and Spiritual Warfare. I mean, the thing is somebody brought in an entire like sealed collection over to one of the local game stores where Campout's at in Tennessee.
Christ.
And I had like a stack of like 50 games that I wanted. But I was like, man, my wife will kill me if I come home with like spending thousands of dollars. So I just basically went for like the most affordable games I could possibly get. I just like, I'm going to get a couple. So I picked out, a couple cool ones. Because, I mean, they're sealed, so, like, he was giving me, like, really crazy deals. Like, I paid less than, like, a CIB price for a sealed Legacy of the Wizard.
Yeah, that's a classic childhood gem.
Yeah, and that's a classic childhood gem. Spiritual Warfare is a classic Zelda clone.
Gotta have it.
So, yeah, like, they were, like, that kind of kick-started the whole, the rental display that I got going on. So, and that shit got out of control now.
Yeah, and as far as more comparisons go, like the music, obviously Mega Man, but the graphics, like I thought of DuckTales, especially like the communication rooms versus the moon stage.
Yeah.
It's very like the same guy like had to have designed it, or like under the tutelage of that guy.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's Capcom and Capcom, they probably use some of the some similar people to design certain aspects. Like probably the same background guy did them, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I thought also like the Pogo Cane in DuckTales gimmick and the Bionic Arm gimmick are very different. Of course, very different, but very similar in the fact that it's a platformer with a badass gimmick.
Yeah. I mean, they could have just started making that a standard back in the day. We're like, all right, we're going to do this, but it has to have something unique.
and Capcom scored once again on that in Strider.
Yeah, and then like Rescue Rangers, you pick up boxes and throw them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's that little gimmick for that game. Strider's a little different beast.
And I was telling Jeff yesterday, I mean, with Ultra and Konami combined versus Capcom, there's nothing I can really fault on the Capcom side except the music in 1942. Beep, 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 beep. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. That shit drives me crazy.
It's amazing.
Other than that, like, they pretty much have, like, a flawless victory. Konami Ultra, on the other hand, there's some titles that are kind of,
A lot of titles.
trying to be nice, but yeah. Let the realism shine through, Jeff.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash. Less Konami, more Ultra. But
yeah, I want to wear a bulletproof vest for them, but maybe, you know what, just throw it off. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, when you actually look at TMNT as a whole, the original TMNT, like, ugh.
Yeah, this game made me decide, bar none, that I like Capcom a little bit more than Konami. Gasp. And this just goes with the NES games, really.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, Capcom never really made a stinker. You can always turn the volume down, I mean, at least to a decent amount for 1942. I can still get to level, 20 on that fucking game without dying. It's hilarious. Eventually, the music just, like, dissipates in your brain, and you, like, forget about it.
That's awesome.
And then, as a kid, nowadays, I'll just put on, like, some cool music or something, but...
Yeah, you just throw her on mute or whatever, and... It is what it is.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks, though, is that, like,
like you were saying before, is that it would be cool to just have like sound effects and music off.
Yeah, like I wish there was an option for that, so then you can put your own music behind it.
I'd still hear the sound effects.
Yeah, because I've always been fascinated with audio meets visual and like what it can create. Like with movies, like it can make you cry. Like certain like music with a certain scene, it just works so right. Like that emotional like burst, like supernova. That's really cool. So it kind of makes it interesting because there was one class I had which really turned me on to that, and the professor like turned down the volume and he's like, now watch it. And it's like nothing. It's like you don't feel anything because the music wasn't there. So yeah, and as far as like the level layout, especially the neutral areas, I thought of Zelda 2, and I'll tell you why. Because
I got it now.
It's like
I didn't even think about that.
It's like the Hyrule towns, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And what's funny too is like the building interiors in the towns in the neutral zones areas, they always look similar in both games.
A little single room world.
Yeah, and it's always the same room, and you like know when you go in, it's going to be the same thing. That's the other thing that I was going to say too. Talking to certain people unlocks certain parts of the game.
Yep.
Some guy will say that there's a secret place between these two areas. So you go between those two places, and that's how you get the helmet.
But if you don't talk to him, it doesn't open.
Exactly. So you activate it. Yes.
And there was also the one spot where you actually had to fire on the safe zone in order to open up a spot in the safe zone to get another communicator.
That's pretty wild. And I actually always had fun firing in the safe zones, you know? That was always fun,
yeah.
too.
I actually avoided it until I had to. That was the thing.
The other thing, the boss fights, Final Zone 2. Why? Because they're like the same thing every few stages.
Yeah, they were. Final Zone 2. Only the die-hard VGBS listeners will know what the fuck we're talking about at this point.
This group again? We gotta fight these guys again? Like, here we go.
Here we go again. It's the same mech that we killed a few stages ago.
Because there's either the machine that's like the PPP machine, beep, beep,
Beep, beep, beep.
the like platoon that like tries to rush you, or like the big ass dude who's like hard to kill, or there's like a shield guy too.
Yeah,
like shoots his own arm. He has like a little bionic arm too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've seen this before. It's just always, and from now on, that's like a Final Zone 2 like staple for me. So that's pretty much it as far as the comparisons. Did you think of anything else?
Aside from, the classic like Indiana Jones style, anything like with like Spider-Man or Batman doing grapples. I mean, but, other than that, like I think it was pretty like unique for a game. I enjoyed it just because it was a different experience for me.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that it's like a pseudo sequel to Commando, and they were both arcade games too.
Yep.
And how Super Joe, when you get Super Joe's weapon, it's supposedly the best weapon for the overhead stages, which is funny because he was in Commando, which is an overhead stage game.
Yeah.
I fucking love that game. I can play it for like a long time without dying, and because it's a Capcom game as well, of course. I mean, obviously, but just to verify to everybody, yes, it is. The other thing too, for anyone who like wants to get started in the game, who's having trouble starting with now that we're on the overhead stages, just wanted to go through a few hints here before we take a little break for about 45 minutes.
Tips and tricks?
Yes, so there's an infinite life spam trick that I actually found, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too. When you go to the overhead stages, there's two guys that are more powerful than the others. They might be in a jeep, or they have like a more powerful weapon. I think even in one level he has like a bionic arm. If you kill those guys, they drop an eagle-looking crest, and it gives you a continue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two guys in that level, so you can get two continues. And those levels aren't that hard. I mean, pretty piss easy, right?
Super easy.
So it's basically free continues. You can even, if you want to, die in that level. It'll restart you at the very beginning. I tried. And you can get it twice more. So you'll have 4 continues. And the thing is, you can get a maximum of 9. And then the other thing is you can make your life pellets go up.
Yep.
It's kind of like Splatterhouse for Famicom in that the more guys you kill, the more your level goes up. In this instance, certain guys you kill on the side-scrolling stages, it's only on the side-scrolling stages, drop a little bullet. And when you get the bullet, it adds that experience point to your tally. And you can actually access that on the menu screen. But once you get to a certain part, you get like another hit point, another pellet there. And it's permanent as long as you have those continues. So what I suggest, start the game. And
farm.
And one thing that I didn't mention, to get to the overhead spots, which you would figure out eventually if you played, but they're actually the little convoy trucks that travel across the map. And if you run into them when you're going in between certain areas, you'll start a fight, and you can't avoid that fight. It actually automatically takes you down and engage with the enemy, you know? So,
yep.
So yeah, go there, rack up your 9 continues. Okay, go to Area 1, and in the second zone, the second spot, you start out like at an outside spot, and then when you go to the next spot, you're like in an underground cavern, and these paratroopers start dropping. And there's a part where you can take this elevator down all the way to the bottom of the shaft, and then there's a little spot down there. What I would do is 2 things. Farm, because the paratrooper guys keep coming, just run to the left and the right, and, you know, like NES style, the sprites just like get activated and fall. The other thing, while you're doing that, practice your arm. That's a good time.
Yeah.
That's a good time to just build up your life pellets now that you have your 9 continues. Build up your fucking life pellets and practice that arm, because there's a little box actually in the middle of that bottom part of that shaft there before the spikes. You'll know it's right after the elevator in the first zone there. You can just jump over this box, and what I was doing, I would grasp the very top ceiling, and then I would see like how far that I could jump past the box, if I could get close to the box, if I could get further from the box, you know, kind of controlling, because like later on you know you're gonna have to, it's gonna be balls deep. Like
you're gonna have to start chain fucking jumping.
So I was like, I better get started now, and then I started getting fancy and even too big for my britches and died a few times in the spikes, thinking that I was, you know, master. But so that's what I would recommend when you start playing it for the very first time. Rack up those lives, rack up those hit points, and whenever you start like running low and those continues, go back to the overhead levels with those convoys, get 2 more continues, and if you want, die, get 2 more, or just go to another convoy and get 2 more. Either way, it's basically you're never going to die, you're never going to run out of lives, so really it's like the Castlevania thing. There's no excuse not to beat the game. You are the only person who will eventually say, you know, fuck this game, because there are some really hard like grappling puzzles. And that's where I knew, like, Area 6 is, like, fucking psychotic. Actually, when I was watching the speedrun video, all of them were like, this level is nuts. And it's easily the hardest level in the game, and that's why they give you an extra life at the very beginning of the level, because it's the hardest, in my opinion. But I think we should take a break now, and we'll go into more in a little bit here.
Sounds like a plan.
right. So, things that I loved about this game, you can grab the items with the bionic arm.
Yeah, you can definitely grab items.
Yeah, it's handy. It's not like something sitting there mocking you like an E-Can in Mega Man. You can just grab it.
Yeah, and that's also what I mastered when I was doing the whole paratrooper like grind thing in the first area there. I just mastered, grabbing the items because each paratrooper would drop a bullet, so I would just grab the bullet as fast as I could. So that was like my whole training thing. So again, totally recommended for someone who wants to like beat the game through. Actually, the first time that I pressed power on that game, I didn't press the off button until that game was completed. So
That's hilarious.
I did the same thing with Final Zone 2. I did the same thing with Toe Jam and Earl. It's just that's why I'm on this podcast, man.
Wow.
Playing games.
It's just insane. But so that's my definite recommendation. Now you can jump super far with the bionic arm, like with the Indiana Jones thing. You can go really far. I was surprised how far you can really do it. Like,
when you release it at like the optimal peak of the swing.
yeah, I was like, this is fucking bad.
Yeah, I was pretty conservative at first till I noticed you could do that, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and when I sent you guys that speed run, it's like Spider-Man,
I think Spider-Man would learn a lesson from that guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a badass little lad, the Impaler.
Hell yeah. And I gotta say, like, in tight, like, cliff-type spots where you have to, like, double-cling, it gets really hard, because you're just hanging there on the edge of nothing, and you have to, like, cling on to this other thing. What I'd recommend, I relied more on stealth than the accuracy at that point. It was like, as long as you were quick enough to shoot and cling onto a certain platform, you could pull yourself up. Accuracy would come more with experience, I found. But as long as you reacted as fast as you could usually grab those cliffs and those ledges and those platforms fairly easily. Not always, but fairly easily. I gotta say, the collision detection barely exists when you're swinging the arm. It's hilarious. You can go through ceilings, walls, spikes. They were just abusing the shit out of this during that speedrun, Feasel speedrun. He was going through, like, floors and stuff, and it was hilarious. So it's actually while you're swinging to the left or to the right, that's when, like, you can just, there's no hit detection at all. It's pretty wild. So that's a good hint, too, in certain levels. You might be able to advance a floor up, because there's certain levels where you have to climb stages or tiers upward, in a tower-type sequence, and it keeps getting harder and harder each floor, and yeah, you can definitely use that trick. There's also, if you press start, A and B together, you can exit a certain zone and go back to the map at any time.
That's super important, actually, to know.
Yeah, so, and it's like, say you die or something, or you're about to die, you flung yourself off a cliff and you missed the spot that you wanted to cling to, press start, press A and press B, and you'll go back to the map. Also, it's kind of moot, too, which I found, because when you go to the overhead stages and get those 2 continues, you have 6 lives right there anyway, so you can just keep doing that. So basically, they give you lives everywhere. They give you chances everywhere. They give you as much leniency, like, as possible.
Without blatantly giving it to you.
Yeah, they're not, like, mean or anything. Like, actually, they're really nice in this game. So what I realized, I would say speedrun wise, you don't need to beat all the stages. You just need to get the correct items to proceed. And that kind of leads me to the things that I would change. But before I go into that, is there anything you guys wanted to add to any of that?
I mean, basically for me, like, I feel like if you put in enough time into Bionic Commando, and like I said at the very beginning, like, enough to rewire your brain to get used to, how to play a platformer a different way, I feel like this game opens up. It's like you always say, Kyle, you gotta peel back the onion a few layers.
Yes, keep it going.
Yeah,
keep peeling it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to keep peeling it, and like what you were saying with the whole grinding aspect, it it not only will, cause your, hit points to go up so you can take more damage and, on the commando levels to get more continues, but you're also going to hone your skills. And that's the more important aspect, because once your skills are honed, you're not even going to need to use the extra hit points.
Nothing.
That's the irony right there.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's pretty fucking hilarious. But yeah, that'd be my only thing, is that you just gotta be, patient with it. Just gotta give it your all.
Yeah, it's like the that Feasel speedrun. I mean, he made it look like a hot knife through butter, and I can totally make sense of that, because with my DuckTales $10 million no death run and the Gradius no death run and stuff, like once you master it and you get to that point, it is like a knife through butter. It's like the brain is able to catalog so much information, but I found that if you don't keep reinforcing it, you forget it really fast.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to go back and do the speed runs that I did, I would have to basically like an Olympic
you gotta train, man.
Competitor, you gotta train.
Gotta start doing some Hulk Hogan, milkshakes.
Some fucking Rocky egg style.
Eat your fucking vitamins and say your prayers.
That's right, brother.
But I mean, the thing is too, is that especially listeners need to realize there's a huge gap between being able to beat this game and being able to speedrun this game.
God, yeah.
You can beat this game with, just getting familiar, and it's very approachable. It's not one of those games where you have to grind away at it if you don't need to. I didn't grind at it at all, and I was able to beat it, and I mean, I have really good reflexes, so I was able to get through some of the more difficult spots, and you can power through those. Now, I did die a couple times, but I had plenty of extra lives and continues because of, the extra levels. But the thing is, though, is that, I was able to go through it, but I don't consider myself even close to any, the speedrunners or anything. So it's one of those things where, if you had to, I know Kyle was showing, levels of game, or, a gamer's level, if we're, a 7 or an 8, you still got those Billy Mitchell 10 out of 10 freaking gamers that it just clicks for them. You know what I mean?
Like freaks of nature,
Exactly. And
it's like the people that we watch and we're, blown away.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying us, I'm not trying to be haughty, but we've done the speed runs, we've done the high scores.
We have world records.
So that's the thing.
Like when we can drunkenly beat Double Dragon 2 and beat the world record, and we just didn't record it because we were drunk. Yeah, it's
over and over again.
And we've done it multiple times. It's one of those things when we see people playing other games, because we're not, maybe Double Dragon 2 we're a 10, but we're not a 10 at other games. Just like Billy Mitchell's a 10 at fucking Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. But I guarantee you jump him on some other games that he's unfamiliar with, or a genre he doesn't like, he'll be down to a 7 or an 8, or, you know what I mean?
And this is what I want to tell viewers, don't get down on yourself.
Ever.
Find your game, because this is what Jeff's saying. Billy Mitchell's not good at everything, so if you put him in the right situation, he might look like shit.
Yeah, and the thing is,
blasphemy.
He probably won't even play those. He probably won't even play those games because they don't interest him either. Anything that's twitch or requires reflex skills, Billy Mitchell will destroy your ass, though, without a doubt. Anything that's twitch,
that's his ability, DNA wise.
And if you think about it, that's what he grew up with.
Yeah, so he's mastered it too.
And we grew up with more so the NES than we did in the arcades. We went to arcades, but in our area, it was more we were the NES boys. That's what we did. You know what I mean? But I mean, we still had arcade experiences, but it was limited to birthdays, going to Chuck E. Cheese or something, Showbiz Pizza at the time, or going to Shakey's.
And that was some good pizza, but we never got to enjoy the longevity of it, and really practice.
Well, and
hone our skills, because you had to pay quarters instead of being in a restaurant your parents owned and you had free play all day.
Well, and even so, some of the other arcade masters is that they would go every day after school to the arcades. There wasn't an arcade by my school, so I couldn't just hop in there, after school, or go to the malls. The mall was a good 45 minutes from the house, so I couldn't just roll over to the mall every day after school and play some arcade games. So it's my locale kind of limited me on the arcades, which limits me on where I'm the master of certain games, but others. If we lived near arcades, within an after-school special style, we might be amazing like that too.
And here's 2 cool points I just love to put in there with that awesome statement. That's always a part of the record holder's story, is that they had an arcade by their house because they had the practice. But that's part of our NES story.
Yep.
That's why we have our niche is like the home console, because that's where we were.
Exactly, and it's like,
Yes.
that's just like where we were at that time, and that it just so happened that's how it worked for us. And it doesn't mean that we're better than others, or they're better than us, or we're worse, or it's just we all have our current niches. And the one thing is, though, is that I love that I can still appreciate and love arcade games, and I enjoy them a ton. So it's like, I now, being older, can dedicate time to mastering a few different arcade games, and I think it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some of Kevin's videos, and Kevin, you got some mastery on that shit too, like Home Alone, for Genesis, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's really hard to master.
But like, I don't know. Like, if you put us into that game, we'd like get our asses kicked for the first few minutes at least. Maybe not long after that. But the first,
Yeah, it's kind of blanketing what all you guys said. That was a game that you had as a kid, and that's maybe all you had for a long time. So, kind of like the Fester's Quest story again. You have it long enough, you'll just master it whether you realize it or not afterwards.
It becomes like a natural thing, like, sleeping or eating,
Yep, you do it enough, the muscle memory patterns pay off,
That's what's so cool. So you have these characters that you can be. And you can be these characters and, like, master them. Like, holy shit, dude. We're so lucky. We're so lucky to be in this situation. Not only to have the games we have, but to be human. Like, just all the stars align for us. I'm telling you, man. Gotta embrace this stuff, and we gotta really just enjoy what we have and just play the shit out of this stuff. This is what it's all about. And this is what the viewers want. They want to hear, like, an in-depth conversation, because that's what we do.
And also, like, I like the personal experiences and the personal stories.
That's always my favorite.
Like, those are my favorite episodes that we've done. Those are the favorite episodes. Those are the best parts. Like, we can talk about news and things, but if we don't have a cool aspect or spin on it, then it's just us regurgitating the news. Like you fucking see on YouTube is like, oh, everybody's sitting there doing this is what happened in the news today, and it's like they usually don't have much to say on it.
Yeah, we don't want it to be like placid, sterile, and banal. We want it you would feel it.
Yeah.
And you think about it and just know that, we're fucking real.
Exactly.
Just share stuff that only us can share, not just generic news,
Yeah, and it's not like we don't want to come across as just like bitching about stuff either. So like it's one of those things where we'll constantly be tweaking like content just because, like, in the end, like, we like to listen back on it as a history piece as well. And so try to keep it as interesting as possible, and the stories are amazing.
Yeah, and I guess now's a good time to go into Biocom, the final part. Now, this will be kind of a round robin. I want to know your opinions, and I was thinking, this game, to me, I would do like a Redux. This would be my first choice.
Would you call it rearmed?
No.
and update the graphics and put it on the current gen console?
Yeah, like, if I could design this game, like, tweak it a little bit.
Your NES ROM hack version of Bionic Commando. Got it.
This was the one game that I have so much to offer. Like, most games, it's like Zelda, I wouldn't change a thing, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot of little nuances, so maybe we could go around and like come up with like one item at a time. We'll let Kyle start though, because he has a list. Little cheater.
Password system. What do you guys think? Mega Man, anyone? Dots, grids.
So a password system. I would say if they got rid of the exit a level. Because you can exit a level, it's almost like you can avoid deaths and things, and you can sit down in one setting and beat it. I mean, with enough patience, you'll beat the level. So, I mean, I would say password system's almost not needed unless they change some of the mechanics.
Okay, cool. What do you think, Kevin?
I kind of agree with Jeff that it's really not needed, but it's one of those things it's nice to have regardless, so...
Yeah.
It's because you never know the situation. You're like, well, thank goodness, I mean, I gotta, go get something or whatever. Then at least you got that option. It's kind of funny when I know I have a password system, and it's kind of like that, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, there's a password system. I end up beating those games because I just sit there thinking to myself, well, I ain't got to worry, I got a password system.
Right.
But the games, if there isn't one, and I'm sitting there, usually for whatever reason, something will happen. Yeah, it messes me up. So it's like I need that safety net when I tightrope with this game to know that there's a password or save, and that throws me off sometimes.
It's the eye roll thing where you're like, God damn it!
Yep. You have that negative as soon as you start a game because you're thinking, oh, there ain't no password in this. I better make sure I don't screw up or die because I'll be replaying this whole damn thing again, So
it's perfect. Both of you guys made the perfect rule then. Just take out, you can't exit the level. Fuck that. Scrap that. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's fucking in a black hole.
There you go.
There it is.
And now you can save. So the hack, that's what it's got. You can't exit the level anymore. No more training wheels, bitches.
Yeah.
And there's only save. Because you can go to the level anyway, so it's moot.
Yeah.
So, brilliant.
So now that you can save, they have to make it in the hack. It has to be mandatory that you have to beat every level.
Yes, I love that.
That's a good way to put it.
Because you can get away with not beating levels in the game.
And the game doesn't tell you which levels you've beaten.
Yeah.
You can go back to the levels and beat it again, and it doesn't the square doesn't turn dark or something. It should shade. So I was thinking too, with that, you should only be able to go to the very first area at the first level, and that kind of tells you what to expect for the rest of the game. So I noticed in level 3, when you go to the communication room, it's we've unlocked the boss door for you.
Yeah.
So I think in level 1 it should say, we've unlocked the boss door for you. Please pay attention to these contacts. They may be important. Something like that. Just so you know, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. And now, does it say that in the instruction book?
That's the question.
Yeah. Let me check while we're chatting.
Cool.
Let me see if I actually have the instruction book. I might.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one.
Let me see. I'm just going to look real quick, because I got a bunch. Nope, just Battletoads and Bioforce Ape and Blaster Master. So
going through the B's.
Yeah, none of the Bionic Commando, unfortunately. Just checking real quick, just to see if I might have it. Nope, I do not have Bionic Commando, because I got a ton of manuals, throughout the years, so I never know what I got anymore. Yeah, it's one of those things where if it spells it out, though, it really shouldn't rely on you having to have a manual, though. That's always bad programming, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. So in the Redux, we're going to assume you're going to buy this new cart, and it's not going to have a manual. Or maybe you just found it on this, in some pawn shop or whatever.
You found it underneath an overpass in Chicago.
Which just happened. I can verify it. Exactly. But you still know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to back in our old episodes and you'll find some cool shit on that.
That's the episode with Rob on there talking about our 3 favorite items. Great episode.
Oh man, that's one of the best actually.
It's all stories, man. It's all stories.
Because it's real. And it happened, and it's fucking amazing. That's why, yeah.
Exactly.
For real. So I was thinking, too, translation issues. It's oh my god. Holy shit. Bionic Commando is so many... It's like Simon's Quest. The base is about to explode. So many typos.
Explode.
My biggest typo problem, when I tried going to Area 8, it said not enough power. I don't call this a typo, but actually it's a translation problem. So initially, and it was funny because I was watching someone else play online, and he thought the same thing. Not enough power. I thought, well, maybe I have to get more life pellets and make my level go up, because you have to get... I only had 6 life pellets at the time, so I didn't have 8. So that's what makes your mind wander, do I need 8? Maybe I do, because I don't have it. Should I try it? that kind of thing. When you really just needed the blue communicator.
Yeah, you needed to make sure you had all the items to go into the next one.
So you didn't have enough power, Japanese-wise, meant, because Japanese people were doing these translations as good as they could, obviously, because a lot of them are horrible. You need to get more power, as in more power-ups or something, whereas in my Redux version, it would say either you need the blue communicator to enter this area. How about that?
Yeah.
Instead of thinking like, oh, I have to get all the levels now. There was the review that I watched was a shame because he said he encountered that spot and he never got past it.
Really?
Yeah, because he didn't get it. You don't have enough power. Like, what do you mean? Why? Because you can't go to that area, and you need to finish the game.
Hilarious.
Area 8, yeah, that's a big thing that I would fix. It's like, geez, they don't get it. Not enough power. What does that mean, So, also, start and select functions I think should be swapped.
Start and select?
Yeah, because start actually activates, like, say you have the medicine, and the medicine's amazing. You get that after you beat Area 1, I believe, and you can equip it each level, and it refills your life each level. Did you know that, Kevin?
Yeah, I didn't know that's how that worked, if it worked out that way or not.
Yeah, so you have 2 life bars per level, too, along with infinite continues, and basically infinite lives because you have infinite continues. So, they give you everything you could want, basically, when you really see the whole picture, though. Because I look at things, when I get into something, it's, psychotically in-depth. So, it's not like a normal person would go this crazy. So that's, again, why this is my spot on here, on this podcast. That's what I'm here for.
That's what he's here for. He's here for the beer and the bitches.
The beer and the bitch is a classic line a few episodes ago.
Nice.
The other thing I thought, when you get the flare power up,
Ric Flair?
Woo!
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, kiss stealing, son of a gun, man.
That's right.
Hell yeah. So, when you get the flare power up, it basically looks like a bubble, and there's a little flame inside it, right? So you're like, what the fuck is that? It doesn't tell you what you got. Number one, that would be my change. When you get the power-ups, there's a little text box that says, Zelda 2, you have the flare or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't know what you got.
Oh, also, it'd be really cool if, they, told you what some shit does.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. There should be a legend in the menu. Like Zelda. The beautiful thing about The Legend of Zelda, if you just let the game play and you don't press start, it tells you what every item is and it shows you it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There should be something like that in every game too. Just
manual built in the game, practically.
Yeah, just like a saves thing. A manual built in the game, so like Jeff was saying, theoretically, if you're going to pick it up and you don't have a manual, you can still play it. And then on Kevin's end, that should be there because I don't have the patience to muddle around with this garbage.
Sounds like
flipping through paper. Ain't got time for that.
Sounds like something Slide Dog Studios would do. I don't know how that is.
Yeah. Or I even mean Kevin just flipping through, just not having the instructions.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you get it without the instructions, you're going to be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I ain't going to spend $50 on eBay for that manual, I'll tell you that.
But game FAQs, that's where I go.
That's true.
Yes.
But there's no pretty pictures.
That's okay.
And a nifty story.
Words are knowledge, and knowledge is power, my friend.
That's right. And that's half the war.
That's half the battle. G.I. Joe.
American
Yeah,
era.
so definitely the whole legend thing. When you get the item, it should tell you where it is, and on the menu screen, it should tell you what each item is, because it doesn't tell you, rocket launcher. You're picking the three-way. You're picking Super Joe's gun.
Picking the three-way.
Hell yeah!
That's his Eiffel Towering.
That's right.
Yeah, and then, of course, definitely, just to make it mandatory to beat every single level.
Yeah, that's super important to me.
Here's my thing. You could have an option at the very beginning that's speed run or 100% completion. Which one do you want? Or you could even like a middle one that's just like free reign, whatever you want. Freestyle.
Free
In
reign.
the middle there. Just do whatever you want, run around, and you can do whatever. It's both ways.
It'd be more like Mario 3 where you can kind of like take this path and then skip other levels if you want and beat another level, like the overmap.
Yeah, I'm all about giving people so many options that no one can complain.
Yeah, no, just balance it out to keep the complaints to a minimum.
Because someone will find a fucking glory hole to stick their damn complaining dick in, let me tell you.
Oh, that's what people do.
That's
how
what
it
people
works,
do.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all the things that I would change to make it a little better if we did like a Redux, like VGBS Kickstarter,
Yeah.
Bionic Commando. Anything you guys would change? I definitely wouldn't add a jump in, number one reason, because if you add a jump in, and I mentioned this on the last podcast very briefly at the end, you can't have a designated grappling hook arm button, because the other button, of course, is to shoot. So you need a button that's designated just to the grappling hook. So you have to have the D-pad to go in, the diagonal directions, left, right, and up. So without that, I don't think it would work with the jump button. Maybe you guys do, but what do you guys think?
No,
No
definitely,
jump.
definitely
No
not.
jump. No, it's not designed for it, really.
It makes it unique,
Yeah, I mean, it would be fucking garbage if they decided to fuck it up like that.
And even if you added the jump, like you said, you'd have to alter every level so you couldn't reach certain things, or you'd barely use the arm. You'd just jump through it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
And the whole
like
focus is on the arm.
in Rearm 2, I think they use such like a little hop that it's like not even worth doing the jump at that point.
Mm.
Yeah, just to appease people, like to put a jump in there, but not make it really like a manageable function.
Give them a useless jump so they can say they can at least jump. Oh, he can't jump that high because the arm's so heavy. He can't jump that high.
That's what I think Doom should be, because I think adding jump in Doom ruins the levels.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't designed for them.
Because you can just jump up to a platform and get the key card when you're supposed to go
Yeah.
through this huge horde of demons.
Yeah.
And hit a
Oh,
switch.
we did that so many times where I would like just jump into something or duck and go through a corridor you're not supposed to.
Yeah, jumps and crouches are banned only because it's not designed that way on my servers.
Nice.
Yes. But that's pretty much all I got for Biocom. I don't know if you guys want to throw in.
No, I mean,
think
it's
You
really...
touched it all.
He touched it all.
Thanks, man. I always try to.
He manhandled that Biocom.
It's that grappling hook. Oh,
Yep.
so long.
Really turns me on, Mean Gene.
Mean Gene. Woo!
So, yeah, we definitely need to give old Biocom at least a bullshit grade.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you thinking, Kyle?
I would have given it a B+, but the fact that Lad Spencer is so badass, I have to give it an A-.
Nice.
There's so much that I would change about it. I can't give it an A. Definitely not an A+, but just to make it more intuitive, the people who picked it up for the first time,
Yeah.
they didn't really take that into consideration. That was the only thing that I found that was kind of like, you immediately made it like an adult-only game, when I could have made it an adult and a kid game, like
Yeah.
Zelda 2. Zelda 2 was designed in a way that you knew kind of intuitively where to go
Mm-hmm.
if you were an adult or a kid, so that's where I dock it, and that's it.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'd probably say, thinking about it, there's so many things I like about it that were unique and diverse, like I was saying, that kind of got a piece for everybody to like, but overall it's definitely like eggnog, I'm sure, for a lot of people out there. Like, you'll either love or hate it, I think, this game, but you really got to give it the time of day, like Jeff said, to get the mechanics down, and in this day and age, I don't know too many people that have the patience, unfortunately, the way it goes. But overall, it's definitely... I feel like it's an A, but really, by the end of the day, I'm just giving it a B, I think. Just because, like, those things that Kyle was saying, maybe if those were corrected and stuff, it would have been a little bit more for me. But it's definitely a solid B, almost a B+, but I'm just going to go with B.
And plus, just really quick, I just want to jump in there. Area 6 is extremely hard.
Yeah.
There's a plateau, and I want to mention this, and this is with some other games too, but there's a certain plateau. Area 6 will differentiate a certain gamer, like...
Separate the boys from the men.
There you go.
It's just kind of in a platform way, because not all of us can be good at everything. So it's just most people get stuck at Area 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying anything negative to anybody or anything like that, but most people get stuck at that, and that's a make or break spot for people.
Yeah, you got to really take some time and practice for some people to actually get across that one, and others it'll just be natural after a few tries, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I would just say keep trying. You'll eventually beat it. There was stories that I read where a certain dude couldn't beat it, and he took it over to his cousin's house so he could beat it for him, and it was that hard for certain people.
Yeah.
So that's really a crossroads in that game. I would say look up this speedrun and watch how he does it. And your eyes might open a little bit to not only this game but other platformers too. So I would say, well, if you're going to play the game the first time, only use a guide or like an internet source at the last resort.
If you get lost or stuck or something.
Yeah, try to beat it on your own. It's a great experience. The storyline's great. Just communicating, wiretapping, figuring out all the information that's all part of the storyline. So be sure to go to all the rooms that you can. Just explore everything. And really, I think the creator wanted you to do that. So in the end, you would be a bionic arm master. And it's just something great to even just to pop on. It's just very impressive to watch someone play that game.
Yeah.
That's another thing about it. It's pretty amazing to watch a really great player at Bionic Commando. It's pretty jaw-dropping, too. You're like, Jesus Christ, So,
yeah.
it definitely has its rewards, man.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. All right, so for my grade, I'm actually less forgiving of the coolness of Lad Spencer. Just because the guy's a badass doesn't mean I still wouldn't, just like you, I wouldn't change some things. So I would definitely, because I would change a couple items in it, you know what I mean? Like there's a few things that could have been done a little better. I'd give it like a straight B plus. It's not quite
nice.
It's not quite an A game for me. But it's still badass, amazing, and an awesome experience for the NES. And I feel like anything that's a B or above is like a must play for the system.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that's
Definitely.
a B or above. Like when you get to the B minuses, it's like, well, okay, now it's getting a little, harder to digest. And once you get into the C's, they're average games. But yeah, the B's are, and the B plus, it's almost, like a B plus to me is like, it's almost like perfection. Almost a great game experience. Like that's like a mastery. And there's like a couple items, it would have been perfect.
Yep, it certainly would have, and I almost gave it a B plus too. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it would be great to make that Redux one day.
Yeah, I mean, there's people there. They've definitely done a bunch of hacks of Bionic Commando. I know there's like a Bionic Commando 99 hack out there, and a few other ones. So one of those hacks might have already done a lot of our, suggestions. So, I mean, that might be another cool thing to do one day when you get bored, is just research some of the ROMs and see what they do.
And what I was thinking, too, like, when I was playing Joe and Mac for Super NES, I remember when I beat... The first level's huge. It's kind of like a Mario 3 thing where there's levels within a level. So when I got to the end, I actually thought that I beat the game, and that was just the first, stage. Joe and Mac's really long. But I think that's what Bionic Commando in my mind should be like, where that's just the first level. And there's a save feature, and there's 3 or 4 levels just like that. So there's 40 levels that you can grapple and stuff.
So you're saying like that the whole Bionic Commando would have been like the first campaign.
Yeah.
And the second campaign would be in the same game. That'd be pretty cool.
Then we would just develop the other levels.
Yeah, I mean, you could obviously
John Romero style.
do that amazingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a really cool little game hacker world. That'd be fun as shit.
If I had Aladdin's lamp, man.
Nah, I just gotta have time.
Patience and
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one thing about game creation and hacking and all that stuff is like the only way to get it is to basically do it yourself, because nobody's going to have as much passion for something as you will. That's the key. Like when you have an idea, you're the one who has the most passion for it. And the problem is though, is there's a steep learning curve with that. It's kind of like Bionic Commando. You got to rewire your brain.
First things first.
Yep, exactly. Tough shit.
Yes,
man.
Definitely.
So Biocom, great little treat. I think we've been talking, and our next game of focus doesn't mean we're gonna play it for a week or 2 or 7. It's just whenever we get it done. It's gonna be Shatterhand.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right.
NES platformer, fun.
Straight linear, gonna be like action style game. It's gonna be fun. And we do have a there's a couple of pretty cool new talk-worthy items that came out. Not necessarily news, but more shit we can bullshit about. There's one really cool one, and we'll save that one for second. But I basically wrote down 2 little bullet ones. One was a link that I sent to you guys during the week. Basically, it's a Commodore 64 remake of Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and like it was just apparently released, and they made it more like the arcade because there were 2 like Ghosts and Goblins released for the Commodore back in the day, and they both were pretty shabby. I think the European one was a little bit better, apparently. But this one revamps everything, takes the best of both worlds. Really weird because the first level doesn't have the right music, but the second level does. So it's pretty interesting. But the first level music that they have in there is Commodore greatness. So, but yeah, the Ghosts and Goblins remake, it just shows that the homebrew community on the Commodore is alive and kicking. What did you guys think when you saw that? What was your reaction to that?
Oh, I thought it was pretty interesting that they went the arcade route because it wasn't as from what I remember, the original that the Commodore had wasn't very as accurate to the arcade, so it's interesting they went that route instead of just, perfecting what Commodore did. But hey, either way, it's still the game, and they did, from what I can see, they really optimized what the Commodore could do because it looks nothing like the other ones that Commodore officially had. Yeah, no, it looks very good, and I'd be definitely interested to try it out. I definitely would have to dig out my Commodore and see if it still works.
Yeah,
get that one going.
That's what I wrote too on my little notes is that I need to get my Commodore up and running because I have the little SD card reader for my Commodore, so I could load her on my Commodore and play it. So I mean, that's definitely needs to happen like sooner than later, I hope.
Yeah, I still need to get one of those SD adapters. That's definitely on my to-do list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know like how to properly format the card or anything because I've never actually tried it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I will eventually. It's one of those things where we got a million games to play.
Yeah, at least a million.
So the last one's gonna let Kyle put on his analytical hat.
Oh yes, I like that.
Okay, so there's been a few things in the news about GameStop jumping into the retro market.
Yeah.
Okay, so initially, GameStop were taking retro games at a few different locations, right? We talked about that in a previous podcast.
We sure did, yeah.
They've moved to actually having retro games online now. So right now you can go online to GameStop and find retro games. Now here's the thing. They have fair prices on rare retro titles.
Oh, nice.
Some of their titles are cheaper than price charting or than eBay, and I'm saying like a $120 game is like $80.
Can I get my Gun Knack finally?
You might be able to get Gun Knack for $20 cheaper than the going rate. Now here's the thing: it's GameStop, right? So.
No.
Are they pricing because they want to get a good name out for themselves so people will come use them? I think that's part of it. Yep. But will this cause a retro market shift?
Yep.
I'm leaning toward that. Like, do you think that the entire eBay market games are going to get cheaper?
This has to happen.
Because GameStop is so big.
This has to happen. This is how it works. Like, this is how, the life cycle works.
Yeah, this game market was like the housing market, man. It's going to balloon, I think, and explode eventually.
And then this big badass comes in and says no.
Yeah, see,
Yep.
like everybody was saying, oh, the bubble's gonna burst, people are gonna get tired, the game prices are gonna go down. But really, it just took a Walmart or it took GameStop just putting out retro, and then they priced the game at this price. Well, guess what?
They set the standard now.
They absolutely do.
You're not going to be able to sell your shit on eBay for $120 because it's $80 at GameStop.
It's done.
That's right.
They set the standard.
Now you got to drop $10 cheaper, so then the game gets
And GameStop needs to do this because with all the digital moving forward with newer stuff, they're going to have nothing in their stores.
No, that's what
so
they're
this
doing.
is them being smart, getting ahead of the curve, and starting to have stock in their stores again.
It shows how desperate they are. They're reaching out to us, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if anything, they got that advantage. It's not like Blockbuster could turn around and start selling beta. You know what I mean? So they just went down.
Think about this. Is this going to kill the brick and mortar stores?
Mom and pops always take a hit, man. The small guys get crunched, unfortunately.
You got the video palaces that probably, pay their rent based on us going in there and paying a couple extra bucks for that limited rare title. Now that rare title's at GameStop for $40 cheaper.
But keep in mind, with those mom and pops, you could actually have probably a better understanding and guarantee of a quality. Like if you order that gun knack on GameStop.com, I'm sure it's not going to be pristine when you get it, or be the stock photo you looked at. You know what I mean? And that's going to be a different problem.
Yeah, well, the thing is too is that right now it's online. It's going to be in every store.
Most stores should be online if they're having a fucking brain in their head.
GameStop's they're about to carry retro in all their stores. They will. And once that happens and it becomes convenience, because some people think that GameStop's just going to raise their prices to market value. I think that they're just going to set the market value because they're so big.
No, you're right. They will.
And that is the catalyst, just like we were saying before with Kickstarter, the catalyst with the big businesses, jumping in. This is the catalyst that could cause the market shift on some titles to come down in price. It's not going to affect your stadium events. Those aren't going to show up at those stores. And if they did, they'll probably still command a premium. It's going to affect all your mid-tier titles, like the stuff that you would see in a store, but they were jumping up in price to like hundreds of dollars, like a Mega Man X2 or X3 that was like a $50, $60 game and recently jumped up over $100. That shit's going to go back down to like $80 or $60.
Of course, the stuff I got.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, those aren't super rare. I used to see those all the time. And Mega Man 7, I was choosing between 3 different copies, and they wanted $50. I was like, no. And then it jumps up to $100. And it's like, no, I'm still no. And
Still can't find a good 7.
Yeah, so like I would say the mid ranges are going to start dropping down. The cheaper games are going to be cheaper. So I mean, I really do think that there's no bubble that's going to burst where all of a sudden all your games are going to lose value. But I do think that some of the prices are going to even out because GameStop's just going to simply be hard-nosed and just set the prices. Now, what was cool, though, is I saw an article. They said, like, the top 10 most expensive retro games for GameStop, and almost all of them are disc-based.
Really?
Yeah, so they looked at the price chart. They picked them all out, and, like, a lot of them are PlayStation 1 games and stuff. Expensive as hell.
Now, did they say how far back they'll take retro games? Like, I'm going to come in with my Odyssey games and they'll give me money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. They definitely have a list of everything that they're accepting. I know some of the randoms are definitely on there, though. I mean, I'm just not sure, like, how far back they go and all that.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they set up Atari 2600 and that's as old as we go,
But the classic GameStop, though, they're going to give you a quarter for whatever you bring in.
Oh,
so.
They usually give you at least,
dude.
No. They'll
Classic
give you a penny
Funko Land,
cash.
too,
They'll
man.
give you a quarter in credit.
Always. It's always a classic.
Yeah, I mean, that is the classic GameStop thing, is they're going to give you a tenth of what they're going to fucking sell it for. So, and they're just trying to get the desperate people. And the unfortunate thing is that will also affect the garage sale fines for people because most collectors still aren't going to go to GameStop and trade their shit in. To me, the people that have their stuff sitting in their garage, or the fair weather fans that got into collecting Nintendo games, now they're fucking done with it and they want to go get their new PS4 game. They're going to take in their Nintendo cartridges.
Yeah, they have an alternative to the garage sales now. God damn it.
And they got an alternative to listing shit on eBay. Because that is a big hassle. It's a fucking job.
Shipping it, all that fucking shit.
And now they can go in there.
Craigslist?
They can go in there. They don't have to barter with a mom and pop guy that, sometimes they're not personable. I've met some really cool ones too, but there's some mom and pop guys. I mean, Video Pals is a classic one. That's just the guy is like pissed off all the time.
You don't have to deal with the Craigslist killer. You can go in a place, the guy's behind a counter. It's all cool.
Yeah, and then it's like GameStop, so they're going to be constantly getting in new shit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you some kind of credit, some kind of deal, whatever.
Yeah, that's why, like, before, as I know Walmart was getting into that, too. It just never panned out, but Walmart would be super dangerous for, the retro gaming bubble, because if you could sell your stuff to Walmart, your retro games, you go fucking buy some milk.
That'd be all, yeah, you could, live just normally.
That's dangerous, man. So
all of a sudden, these cartridges are going to become currency.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's like bottle caps or cigarettes.
Yeah, it's like the lower tier of the pyramid of needs,
The pyramid of power.
Just like shelter, clothes, and food.
And Nintendo games.
That's right.
Hell yeah!
That's why they have Nintendo boxes underneath freaking, bridges and on the highway.
More people in this world have iPhones than toothbrushes right now.
That's awesome.
Think about that.
I can tell by how many people I've had to talk to at work.
Hell yeah, classic times.
More people have iPhones than toothbrushes. I'd like to see the actual numbers on that. That'd be hilarious.
I need to look it up lately. It was a while ago I read that, but we're at about 51 minutes. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, we're good.
It's a good wrap-up point. Toothbrushes is the closeout.
All right, man.
Yeah, that works.
Thank you for listening to VGBS. We appreciate everybody taking the time to get through this whole arduous podcast. We love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to correspond with us, you can email us at vgbspodcast@gmail.com. We also have a phone number. It is 26226-4VGBS. You can leave us a voicemail, shoot us a text message. Whatever you want to do, correspond. Also comment on us, shoot us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Leave a message on one of Kevin's videos on YouTube. We love hearing what people think about the podcast.
Alright, see you later. Woo!
Take it easy, guys.
Later!